But same with me. I don't like to be on my own. I have nothing to tell on my own. Like we can work together with astrology and we can do it.
Yeah.
But
I
I
I
have
have
nothing to
never,
tell. 10 minutes I'm smoking out.
you
Maybe
know,
10 minutes.
to be honest with you guys, I've given
Mhm.
up. I don't even try to figure Susan out no more. I just accept Susan is just a Susan,
Yeah.
and nothing about her makes any damn sense. She's from Jersey. She's white. She's a woman. She doesn't do anything that fits anything that I understand. You know, she's been live streaming longer than most people I know. She's still scared to do that. I accept that Susan is just Susan. You just have to just go with it. If Christine, if you try to make sense of this, she's gonna drive you crazy. Just let
Yeah,
Susan be Susan. That's the best thing
I
you can.
need to be supportive of others. Neptune's in my first house. I can't do it
we
with
both are
support.
good in astrology. We can figure out astrology and we can do a lot without astrology. But that's the thing I'm quite sure about. It would be nice if we have clients from astrology. Then you have a good business,
That
really.
that will eventually happen. That will all of that will
Yeah.
happen.
Mhm.
You know what the
Yeah, because
definition
I
of
don't
insanity is? Y'all know what the definition of insanity is?
government.
No,
Yeah.
it it's to drive halfway across the country with Susan twice. That'll get you. That'll get you.
Yeah, that was weird. That was
It
an
was
experience.
it was definitely an odd, interesting thing,
Yeah,
but
because we
Susan,
were like all in good spirits, but it was like our bodies were not happy.
you know, after a while, the only thing I can tell you is your butt it gets used to just doing that, driving across country and
Yeah.
just hitting all the bumps. And after, like, I mean, like you just learn to rotate. Like you can't just do one cheek. You got to switch to the other cheek. You know,
Oh,
you
I
can't-
was like
And
twisting stuff in
yeah,
the
yeah.
I was
straight.
riding
So,
like all twisted up, like, oh God, please, I just need this release.
You would, yeah.
what
If you
got
would be,
me?
yeah, the truck drives they all the time in their trucks, every day, every night. So it's
I know.
Well, they know you. Well, it's part of his calluses. Like you build up the calluses in your butt. But the other
yeah.
thing is like, I made a mistake once and I sat on my wallet the whole way cross
Oh
country.
my God.
And well, no, where was I going? I think I was doing Maryland to somewhere. And like I pinched a nerve for like, I don't know who puts what is that called? A sciatric? What's that nerve?
Sciatic nerve.
Sciatic. That's the
Yeah.
Ah,
only
yeah.
issue God and I have right now
Yeah.
is he decided, or her in her ultimate wisdom, to put a sciatic nerve in your butt. I don't know why one would be there. It was the worst thing. I could not, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't walk.
Oh
I
my
couldn't do
God.
anything. And that's when I learned when you drive cross country, you gotta keep rotating. You can't sit on
Mhm.
one side. You got to move around. You got to stop, get out, go take a pee. I don't know. Go look at
Yeah.
truckers or
Yeah.
something. You got to do something. You got to keep moving. The
I
human body.
get cramps in my legs if I drive for like more than 6 hours. Oh my God. Then I start getting cramps and I say, oh my God, I have to get off the road. Otherwise I get, yeah, I will crash somewhere in. But yeah, I need also to move and to stop.
Got
But
to move
actually, I
You know
around.
like
what?
it
Talking
because you
about
have nice
move.
sightseeing. I mean, at least in America. Belgium's not so much about, but I,
You guys see it's ramping back up. You say they've locked down China and
yes.
or
Yes.
Shanghai, and now they're talking about the new variant.
Yeah, and
And
they're talking here also about putting up your masks again. I mean, they're
yep,
speaking about
Yeah.
it on news. Okay,
Okay.
there we go again.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make clear to anyone watching that I said this shit is gonna fucking happen, and I said it's gonna keep happening, and it is gonna get so much worse. But nobody will fucking listen because nobody ever thinks like, hey, you know what? I'm born here. I'm free. I don't know the dude who decided to run it like this, but I'm not having it. No, no, I don't understand. I I don't understand anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yes, apologize. You can drop
Yeah,
about eight F bombs in that. Just she was like full fire. You
It's
can't drop
so
the F
it's
bombs.
so upsetting
but
to me. I
you
don't
know that
understand why people like I don't understand. Like, why don't you want to be free? And like, why do you listen to other people? And like, why do you follow rules that don't make sense? Like, I don't understand that at all. Like I don't.
You gotta want to be free. You gotta live free. And as a shameless plug, prune juice will set you free, people. Drink prune juice. Make it effective. It'll make sure that it just frees anything up that's not free. It's the ultimate freedom.
Well,
maybe Washington needs more prune juice. Maybe that's
It's getting hard, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta inspire people to wake up and not.
But that's what they're doing. They're bringing
up.
But that's but that's exactly what my guru says. They will bring shocks and shocks again because now we are free. We're actually kind of free. Yes. They will, and then start again with shocks, and that's why. And she said people will get insane. They cannot handle after a while the shocks done by the elite, and I believe that.
But I believe that. That's torture. Like you torture them, and then you ease up and give them a little break and give them some food and water, and they think and then you torture them again, and that's how it works.
They've been doing it a long time, and they're going to keep doing it because it works. Because people aren't bright enough to go and look at the facts to determine what is going on. Like one thing that's interesting. I don't know how true it is yet. But they're saying that the lawsuits against the Cat organization, which is a for-profit corporation for a particular product, they're not a health organization, that the lawsuits are so bad that now they're starting to try to blame people. They're trying to say that you had preconditions and that's why blankety blank happened to you or happened to your other. And what's interesting to me is that that's really what we've been talking about from the very beginning, since the cardiologist said that, cardiovascular disease is in everybody that we do an autopsy on. And now they admit that you got to have 4 cardiovascular diseases for this thing to even take you out. The CDC is pointing back and they're saying, hey, you had preconditions, so we're not accountable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, it's a thing of, people finally finding that unity and coming together and saying, now, here's the deal. You told them to not do anything but wait. You told them to wait, that you were going to make a magic unicorn injection that was going to fix everything, instead of telling them it's cardiovascular disease, stop eating the sugar, get off your butt, change your lifestyle, go do some things and get in the sun. But what they're doing is they're trying to push the accountability back for corporations, for some reason, the employers, and they're pushing accountability back to you. And they're saying, hey, it's your fault because you listen to us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the upside down world. Everything. Yeah. And now they're telling the Russian people they're weird. They want to make the Russian people as the Jewish people from the Second World War. It's crazy. That's
everybody's weird. Everybody's weird. I mean, don't they like vodka and bears, and doesn't he like ride a polar bear or something with his shirt off? Isn't that like
that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Our leader pees his pants and shit.
Excuse me?
He does do Easter Bunny to tell him what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he shakes his hand with his
I'll take a pocket drinking bear rider.
Did y'all see that? It was. I saw on TikTok, it was like the Easter Bunny came up and they were just like, oh, we're in trouble now. The Easter Bunny is telling the president. And the Easter Bunny was like, no, I grabbed him and pointed this direction. He did like he didn't want to go. And then the Easter Bunny pointed and he just started walking.
Yeah, but then the most weird thing, he was shaking hands with no one. I mean, with his ghost probably, with his.
When he turned to shake hands and nobody was there. Like he was by himself on stage on a podium.
I know, but that is
American citizens what to do.
That's being schizophrenic. He sees people who are not there. That's MK Ultra. Actually, it's maybe he's been MK Ultra. I think he's a victim of it, because that's
the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, Gerard, when they go back and try to put it back on the people, guess what? I don't care if they were stupid or not. It is their fault. Your choice is your choice. I mean, it's fucked up.
Well, they're being honest, and I agree. We agree. Yeah. I mean, they're finally being honest with people, and they're saying, "Hey, if you live a deathly lifestyle, you're going to die." And none of the professionals can save you. If you eat and live like you want to die, you're probably going to die.
And that's how consent works. Like they they said that KonMari was approved. They didn't say, so everybody said, oh, it's approved. No, that's why you're supposed to be aware of your surroundings and take responsibility for yourself and go, oh, I'm going to look up KonMari.
You know what? I want to jump in.
So that's how consent works, because they gave you partial information. It was your job to finish it, and you didn't, and you did your choice, and that's the way it is. And I'm not saying, bad people, but that's their choice. That's what happened.
I want to circle that back around and talk about what Jesse just mentioned, which is, the whole purpose of this is ancient knowledge, which is, he said the world, how we knew it, ended long ago. And he's right. And it always does. They've been ending our world from the very beginning, right? So from the very beginning, they've been slowly, every generation, every couple hundred years, they end the sustainable normal. And they create new, unsustainable, psychopathic, chemical, synthetic, controlled human being new normals. Like this is the process of the world. They're slowly eroding our cultures, taking our medicine, taking our freedom. And at some point in time, we just have to say enough is enough. We're not going to let you go any further with your psychopathic world, no matter what you call science or whatever you want to call it. Your world is unsustainable. It does not work. It's in defiance to natural science and nature and the balance of everything. And we're not going to do it anymore. And that's his piece. He's spot on.
Yeah, but that's also part of the consent. That's what I mean. Like, they don't take anything from us. We give it to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We give it to them.
They don't have any power of their own.
Nope.
Yeah.
We give them our
the
lives.
power of misleading, and people, that's.
I mean, how about our children? Like, isn't that a topic now? I see a lot of people complaining about they're teaching kids about gender and sex at the age of 5. The only thing I can tell you this: if you took and thank God my kids are grown, but if you took my 5-year-old and you told them about your culture, which is completely in defiance to what I'm teaching them, and you did it without my consent, some really bad things are going to happen. I can promise you that right now. Like, there's a place you just don't go. But that's how Rome worked, right? They would take the children and indoctrinate them and turn them against the parents. And that actually is what they're up to. And that's
they kill their innocence. They kill their innocence and their ability to combine love with relationship, to combine love and sexuality together. They separate it. They make you like you're an object to be used. No self-worth, no self-esteem, no dignity. It's awful. I would say stop being cool. I know people who would kill those teachers. I really know they would kill such teachers. And I cannot say they're not right. They really would do that.
Yeah, like they corrupted and destroyed sex so bad, and it's so separated from love, and it's you know what I mean? Like, you used to look for a love and sex was involved with that. And now it's like, I'll have millions of sex until I find love. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
true.
I mean,
but then it's already destroyed.
That's not how that works.
Destroyed because the love gets destroyed by indulging in all that sex activity. The love is destroyed. Your vibrations goes really down, and you hardly can raise them up. And that's the danger of the abuse of sexuality, which is mostly in the West has propagated. That's why the East is so strict, but on the other hand, too strict. I mean, like maybe Muslim. But then you have to find balance. Like when it's natural, it's a natural, spontaneous thing, but it's related to love, but it's natural. It's not something wrong, because that's a Catholicism. So everything is love. Actually.
I agree. I agree with Jesse. We should get back.
Sex is taboo, and it shouldn't be. Like, you should be able to talk kind of openly and adultly about sex. Like, there should be no weirdness about it. But in our culture, it's like this taboo, crazy, kind of bad thing, and it's not. It's just the way you use it is a bad thing.
But it's both. It is taboo, and it's totally exploited and perverted. So it's no balance in it. So
no.
I agree. I hope y'all continue on this topic. I'd love to talk about ancient sex. That would be
Elizabeth H.
With some freaks.
Elizabeth H. wrote a book about it. Her book is Yoga and Sexual Energy, and basically she's saying that what the ancients said is that our sexual energy is the power of creation, is the creative energy of the universe, and it's powerful, and it is ultimate. It can, it's like any other power of manifestation or creation. It can be used wisely or unwisely.
Yeah, but the thing is, sexuality is many times confused with Kundalini, but it's not like that. It's different, because the Kundalini rises from the sacrum bone. So it rises through the sexual organs, but it's not related to it, and that's why you have is Tantra misused, because Tantra is seen as sexual techniques to have the best experiences, but the traditional meaning of Tantra is how we can evolve in a very high spiritual way by using techniques, but not in. It's not like it has nothing to do with sexuality, but sexuality is can be explored in its most beautiful way when your awareness is in the highest. So
it's a form of yoga, and all yoga is about consciousness. Because
tantric sex, I mean, I just gazed through the book, but but it supposedly does, like you were saying, your awareness, like you're totally in that moment together. That's what I took from it, in order to have a more connected spiritual experience. Yes. But it's not like you do that with someone willy-nilly, especially because like you have to stare into their eyes and stuff for a long time, and you know how uncomfortable that would be, especially naked. So that's some serious shit. That's not like just
it's misused a lot, and it's totally but that is not what this. When the awareness is high, you find your soul partner. That's what I mean. You immediately feel this partner feels good for me. That's what I think what it is. But it's so much not understood in the Western way of life.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah, and that's a side effect. What Lori's saying. I mean, the world is full of willy-nilly sex, and really is because we've taken something that was phenomenal, that feels amazing, great, and we use it sacred, and we use it to make us feel better. Because we hate this society, we hate this world, we hate being depressed, we hate having to work, we hate
that's what Rilke says. We use it to apply it as a band-aid to the tired places of our lives. Those are his words.
Yeah,
well,
it's like 420. In today 420. Like we take something that's amazingly healing and medicine and all these things. It's such a part of the human body because we have an endocannabinoid system and it makes cannabinoids. We've been eating this plant since this is probably one of the oldest plants on the planet that we've been eating like it was a staple since we were marsupials or whatever, little mammals, and they took it away. But now we're getting it back. And instead of using it, in the powerful ways we probably always had, and using it in lettuce and using it in food, we make the 420 holiday. Now, I have nothing against 420. I have nothing against that. But the point is, it's the watered down of something that was so powerful. And we just kind of inject it into holiday culture. Like we make it a holiday, but I don't know. I think that we've lost our ways in many ways, and we might even need to do a show on ancient medicine. I mean, just looking at the natural treatments and the natural cure, all the cannabis type medicinals. Why are dandelions so powerful? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Susan. You're not in school. You know this, right? You're not. You don't have to raise your hand. You're not in school.
She needs a hall pass.
I'm really excited. I get excited. Okay, Sagittarius is my first house, and I get really excited, and I'm house 9 sun, so I get real excited when I learn new things. Right, Christine? It makes me happy to learn stuff. But it does. But because there's this the good stuff about technology, even though I fucking hate the Matrix. There's an app where it helps you identify plants easier, right? So now
Yes.
all day long, every time I weed, I come across
Yes.
weed, I'm like, dude, what's that?
I
Right?
like that
You know?
too. That is an app
Yeah.
on. I
And I'm
use it
learning
too.
so much stuff, dude. I'm so surviving the apocalypse.
Yeah, but the app has also a kind of failure because it does not always recognize the plants.
No, it don't. No.
Yeah, and so that's the challenge. I mean, I my favorite is I think it's called Plant Identifier. I think it's called, but you know, it's the challenge is it can get very close to a plant by using its flower and its leaves, but on more than one occasion, it's got it wrong, and you know, you'll be confused and you'll think this is medicinal and it's actually poison. And that's why some of those apps are very dangerous if you're using it for like herbalism or survival. Like you're not going to get around education. You got to educate yourself. Like that can be a tool to kind of help you head that direction, you know. But people don't just wake up, you know, and they're herbalists. Like they've been studying for a long time. Like they,
That's why you know, old school technology right here. Sometimes it's better.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I do it on the plant app, right? And then I have books that I check my books because, like you said, sometimes it's wrong.
Definitely.
And then and in those books, it usually will tell you some of them because I have different herbal.
This one is a good one.
That looks good.
This is from Sweden. Do you know her? But it's in Flemish. Maria Trieben. She is it's Health Out of the Pharmacy of God. That's called. It's a very old book.
Yeah, good title.
Yeah, there's a book I want to get called Plants of the Gods.
Yeah, and it's a very good book. It's very old. It's from the beginning of the century, 1900 and even.
Oh.
And have all remedies from the North sphere. I mean, like,
You mean science before it got taken over by the Rockefellers?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys are offending Big Pharma here because remember. Their profits are 100% based in you forgetting what your food is, you forgetting what medicine is, and your immune system isn't working, so it needs their drugs.
Yeah.
No, they're weeds. That's what I was taught my whole life. Yeah. So I was pretty much taught my whole life if I ate a crab apple, I'd die. Don't eat a crab apple.
That's not true.
That's not true.
It's not true. Oh my God, I hate those people.
No, and they're really sour and tart. So you know.
And spit out the watermelon seeds because they're poisonous.
Sure. Yeah. But so it's not true. And they're packed with vitamin C and known to boost the immune system.
That
and
is
something else.
hilarious. That is so. I lived on the street.
And I would watch the squirrels and chipmunks eat the crab apples, and I'm like, they ain't dying.
And you know, I lived on the street, and they planted the streets with crab apples everywhere, and they were just dropping everywhere, and like we were scared of them, like we didn't touch them, we didn't want to like crash our bikes into them. We thought we might die if the juice got on our knee or something.
Yeah,
we're in that, but this is what they did though, right? You know, they made us scared of things that we really, really need, things that are medicinal, and that's where you get this war on drugs from. You know, they took things that were extremely positive and extremely helpful, and they made you scared of them. Like even now, still today, if you find something online, you're like, okay, well, this can help with this. You know, this is a castor seed or castor oil or whatever. Yeah. You know, and they're like, oh my gosh, people die from castor oil or people die from this. And like that fear mongering is still going on today. And they got a lot of doctors involved in it.
Yeah.
Quackery, as Rockefeller medicine.
And all health starts in the mind. Like think about like even those people
have to
placebos, right? Whatever, and the you know like what we're in right now, right? So they got a nocebo or whatever, but they think they got it, so they're healthy and getting better, and then other people. Like I think I'd mutate into a zombie, so I'm never getting that thing because that's exactly what happens.
Look, if it comes down to me turning into a zombie and me being forced to take something from Big Pharma, you're going to be running from me because I'm going to be a happy zombie. I'm before I turn into a zombie, I'm gonna make sure like I put like a metal football helmet or something on my head. I'm gonna protect myself. I'm gonna make sure that my teeth are just able to like really crunch down. You know, I don't know. I might put some spikes around me. Like in The Walking Dead, there were some great examples of how you can become a zombie and like really get as many humans as possible. But yeah, I agree. I have
I'm good. I'm good. I got my chainmail and my sword. I'm ready to go.
You know how this started out is that, well, for me, is when all this started happening, y'all know I worked in big pharma, and I still got a lot of friends who worked on a lot of this stuff. And I made one phone call and to a person I know who worked on these. And I said, "Hey, how you been?" "Great." "Okay. What are you going to do?" And she just basically said, "Nobody's going to cure the common cold in 3 months." I said, "Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know." She said, "Don't take anything they give you." Done deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the most succinct thing I needed to hear.
But it's funny that people keep on working there and knowing they're actually killing people. I mean, where is your consciousness? I
don't have one. They're demons. They're archons. They're aliens. They're multidimensional. They're humans from the future. Who knows what these aren't people. People aren't capable of this.
No,
lying about cardiovascular disease.
Because like the Nazis in Germany only succeeded because everybody went along with it, which is happening right now, but nobody will fucking stop.
But that is gonna happen. But now they are vilifying or whatever the Russian people. It's not a joke. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's demonizing the enemy. First step in war, demonize the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make them inhuman, and then. It's
then
okay
you can commit atrocities against them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to. Yeah, I mean, so you can go back to pretty much all colonization, whether it was Africa on Africa, or European on European, or European on Africa, or Native North American. It all was involved in lying to the people you want to go kill them and steal from them by making them think they're pagans. They don't know how to live. They're not human. Like the Norse were considered to be monsters for a long time, the monsters from up north. And so, they've always done this. And so to me, that's just another play on race. It's just another play on saying they're different from us. And because they're different from us, we can treat them different. And this is why I have no interest in race, and I have no interest in people believing in any of that crap. Well, certainly not my kids and not me. I don't have any time for that. They've always found ways to divide us up. And if you can convince people that people are different, that there actually are white people and black people, not white wolves and black wolves, then you can get them to fight each other and do some of the most horrendous things possible, because they aren't me. They aren't us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, why? I mean, all this time, right? I mean, every once in a while you get a revolution, but all this time, why is everybody like, okay? Why does everybody just go along? I don't like, even if you're like history repeats and everybody's just like history repeats and they don't really get, oh yeah, history repeats. The 1940s, it's like, okay, but you hear yourself, right? It's like, but the 1940s was really not long ago. It was only 80 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Technically, there could be some people alive, but it's not those 50-year-old looking people. So anyway, they would have to be old as shit. Anyway, so that was only 80 years ago. So that's like, we're still old enough to like remember stories from our grandparents and parents and stuff, right? So that's like living history still. It's not like history, right? And it's literally happening again right now, just like in a different way. You know what I mean? And I don't understand why like nobody's doing anything. Like, don't we know that like we can't keep letting them take more and more or giving them more and more? Like, we should know that by now, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know. We
have already all been like, hey, everybody, we're not going to work for 2 weeks and we're going to let those fuckers do without electricity and see what happens.
Well, so the history of the human race, right? It's involved in us learning hard lessons. There's something about us. We're blockheaded. Like it really has to hurt before we learn that lesson.
Yeah, that is always like that. We have to suffer big time before we change.
It's like nuclear weapons. When there's only one nation that dropped nuclear weapons on human beings, and that nation is still allowed to have nuclear weapons. You know, you would think eviscerating tens of thousands of people and babies would be enough to make us realize that this is something that no one on this planet should possess, but we don't know any better. So we like hard lessons, you know, and so to a degree, I am you know what? I'm not with them. They need to go learn that lesson. I've already learned that lesson. So I'll just exit society. I'll do my own thing. And a little secret, as we go back into the next lockdowns, because they're coming, right? That's how they make money now. This is, you're talking about big pharma, it's a dying industry. The organic industry and people getting healthy and naturopathic doctors have been biting into their profits too long. They now only make money in scaring people to take their products. You know, so this is their business model now. So are we going through another lockdown? Of course we are, because they own the politicians. They lobby them to do the things they want them to do. And that's just how this country works. You know, so but I'm not participating next time around. They can do anything they want. I'm not complying. I'm not.
But I think a lot of people will not participate in, because I was talking this weekend with people saying, no way I will go to do another lockdown. No way. Many people who, even the ones who believed in it in the first, but when it comes that far, they might be scared and they think, oh no, because they're always kind of conditionings. Oh, if I don't go along with it, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. So, and that's the part. So
that's all you gotta do is just like, no, hell no, like Christine in America, like, don't listen to the Americans, don't trust them. They love talking tough. Like they're big jelly bellies. Just touch them in the belly and they'll go, you know, they talk a lot of stuff. But when they hear, oh, well, your child can't go on the field trip because they didn't get this, or you can't go to the tennis court, or you can't go to your concert, or you can't go to the football game, or you're not coming in the movies, they're going to fold. You know, they're going to fold, like, because unfortunately, that's what I've been taught as a lesson in this country is, you know, people love talking tough because it sounds great. You know, they're not that, like, you know, I'm very similar minded to the people who are just saying, you know what, I'm not going to comply, and I'm going to make sure I have the logistics so I don't have to comply. We're growing their own food, right? They're planting perennials, they're getting ready, they're making their own power, they're getting solar panels and wind turbines. So if this happens again, and again, the government, your local government tells you, hey, we're going to cut your power off if you don't do this, well, you know, then cut it off. I've got solar panels. Well, you're not going to be allowed in the grocery store unless you do this. I'm growing my own food. I don't actually need your grocery store. Like, we have to reclaim our power. And this is ancient knowledge. You know, this is the knowledge of our ancestors. They never gave their power to the chiefs. They maintained all their own power. So whenever they had to say, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that. And that was even a North American thing, which is probably why I'm more tribal minded now than anything else, is that when they went to war, it was the warrior's choice. Do I want to go fight in that war or not? You know, it wasn't this collective requirement. These, you know, mandating anything over human beings is all news. Like what Jesse was saying in the very beginning, the world we know is dead, and they keep killing the world we know. And they keep normalizing, you know, more increased slavery, you know, like, I don't know. I just think that you can't wait for other people to stand up because other people are weak. The majority of people in this world right now are weak. They're weak physically, they're weak minded, and they're not actually going to stand up. They're going to capitulate.
And they know that. And they know that.
And they know that. That's why the corporations are doing that. They know how weak people really are, and they just talk a lot of trash. You yourself have to start preparing for what's coming, because now it's in Shanghai. Next, it'll start hitting Europe. The fear will start going. The news will have something to report on because they didn't get their war with Russia, and you know they'll be going right back into another lockdown cycle.
Yeah, and damn it, what were you just saying?
I said like 8 things. You know me. My mouth.
I know you said 100 things.
Big Bird, Ernie.
Complying. It was about complying. Weak people, cowardly people. Yeah,
and also because, especially in America, I know. I don't understand, where did that like spirit of freedom go? But we are so, like, our lives are our material world. And they will do anything not to lose those material possessions. You know what I mean? Like, I might lose my house. I can't lose my job. I'll be an experiment. Like, you know what I mean? So Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
folded.
that, yeah.
A lot of
But
them folded the
the,
first
Really,
time around.
you know, you look at the United States right now, and there really are only two industries left here. We really only make two things: bombs and drugs.
oh yeah,
And both of those industries are dependent on creating suffering and death and murder and misery and pain for other people.
Yeah.
yeah,
As a
And
famous,
the system forces us to become sociopaths if we want to eat.
and what
That's
people,
the world.
That's
That's the
disgusting.
reality of the world that we have right now.
as a famous philosopher by the name of Susan put it, they banned happiness.
They did.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
that's the other thing. They had to break your spirit. I mean, most people's spirits are already broken. And it really, see, this is frustrating to me, okay? Because everybody knows that I did not have a happy, easy life, right? But come on, if I can fucking have some hope, you can't. I mean, like, it really pisses me off sometimes. I'm like, Jesus, do you know what I went through to be this happy? And you're gonna freaking, like, I don't understand. Like, you had it so way easier. How are you not, like, I don't get it. So frustrating.
Yeah,
It's really frustrating.
So the good thing about it just being totally frustrating is it's just all we need is a reboot. We just have to go back to a world that works. And the world currently doesn't work where we control each other. You know, human beings are sovereign creatures. They actually have to be left the hell alone. When you have influence on someone else's life and you get together in large groups and you try to force them to be like you, eventually it's going to end in violence or some sort of a revolution. And while I don't prefer that, I have no interest in that because every revolution we've ever fought, they've all lost and we've all ended back up in the same spot.
yeah, true.
If that's what they want, that's what they can have. I'm not going to start it, but I'm not going to comply. I'm not going along with anything that they do. I'm done. I'm complete. I'm 100% done. Like I said last week, they breached the contract. You know, we had a constitution and they breached it. And I would be a fool, anybody who would keep going along with people who are disingenuous, who don't respect your human rights, your constitutional rights. You know, you deserve what you get, you know, and that's just where we are.
Yeah, and the thing also is we don't like when we grew up. I mean, in my little village, there was everybody knew each other. We said hello in the morning. I mean, it was always like kind of very friendly to get to be comfortable with each other, but that's gone. So people are afraid actually of each other because they don't know how do they feel, how does she think, how does he think, and he might be different, and everything is based is sprouted out of fear now, instead of just making contact with people. That's gone.
Yeah, like in American Gods, Mr. World, you know, he represents the New World Order God that now's in existence because people fucking believe in him. So anyway, because nothing is real unless you believe in it. That's why we have money. Because that's the other thing. Someone was like, I was like, money doesn't even exist. So why would I base my happiness on it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's just spiritual bypassing. Yeah. Okay. Well, explain to me what value, who determines the value of the money, who prints the money, where does the money come from, what backs the money, what gives that money value? No answer.
Yeah,
they don't know.
It's just
it is a game that everyone has agreed to play.
Exactly.
And everyone is pretending that it's something real when it's in fact just a fucking game. It's just a game. It has no basis in reality.
No. And now they want to make it a video game.
Yeah. Right. It's virtual.
Yeah.
Digitizing, digital currency, social credit scoring, right? But the thing about this game is people die. And they die miserably.
Yeah, they do.
They drop bombs and they nuke babies and pedophiles rule. And everybody wants to keep playing with them.
It's like the question Neo asks Morpheus about the Matrix. What happens if you die in the Matrix? And he says, you die in real life because your mind is in the Matrix that makes it real.
Yeah, it's a game of whack-a-mole. We were having a TikTok live earlier. We were talking about it's a game of whack-a-mole. Like you literally there's a difference between thriving and surviving. And this system is based in you just surviving. You're just surviving the game. You got bills you're paying. You got this happening. Depression's going on. They branding medicine. They're creating things in laboratories, releasing, and you're just constantly whacking a mole, and then you die. And the funny thing about the whack-a-mole game is everybody loses whack-a-mole. Nobody wins. Like it's a game you never thrive. You never really do well.
Right.
You just get as many moles as you can. You have to kill this natural thing called the mole. And in the end, you die. You lose.
That's all video games. You can't beat Space Invaders. You can't beat Pac-Man. You can't beat Asteroids. The game will beat you in the end.
You'll always lose.
It's like the casino. You keep going to the casino, you're going to lose in the end. Sorry.
But we keep going. We keep going to a game. We know we lose. And even if we come back multiple times with reincarnation, we know eventually we are going to go extinct if we keep playing this game. And we keep getting up in the morning and we keep playing the damn game.
Yeah. It's like always stress from morning till evening because it's always surviving. Okay, now this bill, and that, and yeah, actually.
Yeah, and that helps keeps that fear state vibration, prison I always talk about.
Yeah, true.
But it does. Even in the Emerald Tablets, fear is the only thing that binds us to darkness. Yes. So if you have no fear, you cut all ties to the dark.
Yeah, and the thing is, if we really have no fear and we really rely on our connection with actually the divine laws, then we are always protecting even in the most difficult circumstances, because that's the magic and from actually real life is magic. Real life is magic. My guru says nobody knows how to live. You don't know magic, then you don't live. And actually, and that is complete surrendering to these laws. Yeah.
And the funny thing about the game is that you can't beat Pac-Man, Mike, but we just keep playing it. And not only that, but every time we play, we make the makers more powerful. We give them more power. And we lock our children in deeper to having to play this psychotic game with them. And every generation, and it's harder to get out of the game. It's like Tron. Remember Tron? You guys remember the movie or the game? We're like locked in Tron. Like that was the Matrix, actually, wasn't it? That was just a different way of putting the Matrix.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like Super Mario Brothers, Contra, whatever, all those games, most of the time there's a cheat code, and then or an alternate dimension where you can get extra lives, or you know what I mean? And that's like the ancient knowledge, right? Like if you can, and I just look at it as nature. Just go back to being a fucking human. So I look at it, and then you got the cheat code. But
it's not that hard, right? What is that? I mean, the golden rule, whatever. Live and let live. Do unto others as you want done to you. We need a flat earth. We need an earth where no one has any power over anyone else and everything goes well in abundant times. But as long as we continue on with this artificial scarcity video game, we're just going to continue playing the Hunger Games till we kill each other.
Yeah.
No, and it's sad and stuff. And you know what? Why should I care about people? Fuck them. But no, every day I have to be sad.
But it should make you happy that you're sad.
We could be using our minds and build pyramids. They could be all gold and shit, and we can learn stuff and do cool things. But no, I'm stuck in this matrix, and I got to get up at 4 a.m. to fucking cut wood and shit.
All right, so excuse me from taking the segue opt-out of getting some grown adults to talk about video games. I don't know.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on, but I'm like really been out of it for like a week. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it no more. Like even today, I was like, I got to get out of here. And I meant like planet Earth.
So look, I'm gonna take this segue to take the conversation away from my childish ideals of getting y'all to talk about whack-a-mole and video games. I sent you a video. Danica Patrick interviewed Jimmy from Bright Insight. Did you guys see that?
Did you put it on your timeline?
No, y'all just don't watch nothing I send you. I send y'all stuff.
No, it didn't send it.
This is not even important. That's okay. That's fine. You know, I'm not going to take it personally.
That you did it.
I'm not going to
Did
take it
you put it
personally.
on the timeline? I didn't see it.
I know what y'all do. I'm not stupid. I saw the thumbs up on it. They'll put the
Oh,
heart
I
on
know.
it.
Which one was it? I always no. I always look it when you send it. That one I don't remember. I remember the one with that lady and the man with the pyramids and then all the magic stuff.
That's why Christine and I, eye to eye, we see. So Christine, I'm not even talking to them right now. In fact, I'm going to X out their screen. Let me turn. I'm going to talk to Christine. Forget y'all. Christine. I love Hollywood Squares. Hollywood Squares is so fun.
It was about pyramids. And I was telling you, okay, the beginning we know about the building. It's not done with manual. It's done with frequencies, and then I find out. But then you said something because it was sometimes unclear. I didn't understand always the language. I don't know. But then you said something that talked about
the cat.
Yeah, and I don't. Is that the thing?
Yes. So what she explained, which I had no idea, because we've talked about this. We've talked about the pyramids have caps, but nobody knew where the caps went. And everyone, they were suspecting the caps were gold. They were crystals. They were some sort of, mineral they melted down or reused. So what Danica Patrick said, she said, actually, there's a museum in Egypt that thinks they have one of the caps. And she visited it. And they actually laid hands on the cap. And it was weird because she said, her and her friend were experimenting, and she would lay hands on one side of the cap and her friend would on the other side. And she would think about a certain part of her friend's body, and her friend would know. I don't know if you remember that part, Christine, which is huge. I mean, but I had no idea. So the best one I knew, the cap would disappear.
Because that was the language that didn't always speak. It just like the aliens, they have taught communication.
Yeah,
but that's too dangerous now. I mean, I think that's why probably they took it off. I mean,
crystals. We know what crystals are, right? Well, we know what crystals are, right? They're energy amplifiers, right? They amplify energy, and so if you are an energetic being, in which everybody on this broadcast is, everybody on the planet is, you're a vibration, you're energy, and there's certain crystals that amplify that, and that's. It starts to indicate, a lot of the things about, how the Aborigines could communicate miles away, right? They would when it was time to call whatever they call them, and all the tribes or groups came together, they would put out a call through ESP, and all of these Aborigine chiefs or whatever would all start walking together and meet in this one place. And, how do they do it? I don't know. Maybe they had a crystal necklace, and that necklace allowed their amplification of thoughts. But it was just phenomenal to hear that. I think Susan and Jonathan should watch it sometime if they ever get bored enough, like I am in life, and they want to actually watch something that I send them. They should watch it.
Yeah, and
we should go visit. We should go to Egypt, you guys. That's
that I would like. I can arrange one if you go along. I can make it. I mean, let's make a trip.
Yes.
Yeah, we should. Now we still can. Now you can. I didn't see the pyramids. I've been to Egypt. I did the Nile and all those temples. But now, because we know the book and we know a little bit, it must be extremely interesting to see them, to see inside and how to experience the energy there. Must be.
Christine,
and we're allowed to. The guards take bribes to let you go into shit.
Yeah, right? They do. You have a local. You need a local.
Corruption.
That's what you do in India. You need a local man who can bring down the bribes, and you need the bribe that man for a little bit less, because you cannot go anywhere without bribes.
No.
That's just the way it is.
How the world still works. And so a good thing, Christine, if you want to visit the U.S., is that they're actually they just took down the face diaper regulations. So you can actually fly without a face diaper. So real soon they're going to take, because I'm not flying nowhere no damn face diaper. I've not wore one since I've been to Texas, and I'm never going to wear one again. I don't really care what ignorance y'all come up with next time. But so I think those requirements are going to fall. I think what they're doing is they're doing it for the election. Like they got to show people, we won, we beat cardiovascular disease, and we saved as many people as we could. And then, after the election's over, then it'll pop right back up.
Yeah. So that's now the time between summer and between October. That must be the most freest time. So I have to I have to check the embassy and I have to check travel agency. And yeah, in Belgium it's still free, so let's hope. I'm making myself ready.
Yeah.
And if
That'll
we
be
can
nice.
sneak in an Egypt trip, we'll do that. I have a whole bucket list. I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to
Yeah, it's
Chichen
wonderful.
Itza. I want to go to Lake Titicaca just because it's Lake Titicaca, and I just love saying
Yeah, I
that.
want to go there
And the
too.
Lake
It's so
Titicaca,
nice.
Titicaca, Titicaca,
And it's
Titicaca. But seriously,
cold.
so
It's high and
Titicaca,
it's cold up there.
huh?
It's called Lake Titicaca because it's very high. Yeah.
Oh, say that again, Christine. Hold on. I like that. Say that again.
It's
cold.
Lake Titicaca. Also
Oh yeah, I love the Belgian accent because like you stressed all the right, syllables. That was awesome. But no, so it was known for it's where they hit all their gold. Like they would have sacrifices, and every year they'd send a raft out in the middle of the lake or wherever, and they would just dump all this gold. And so they've been trying to find, the gold and artifacts and things of value that the ancients had that are at the bottom of that lake. I think they've tried to drain it a couple times. And I think, they found some locations, but, they were, all these ancient artifacts were buried under, I guess, tons and tons of mud, but, it might be a time comes that we'd be able to get away, do some. Yes, China. I want to go to China. I want to see the pyramid in China that's got the mercury at the bottom of
You're out
the
of your
thing.
fucking mind. I ain't going to China right now.
We watch too much TV. Ain't nothing wrong with China. It's just Chinese people over there. Ain't nothing wrong with China.
Oh, that's right.
Turn off that
Rich
TV.
people can travel around in China. It's just the poor people.
We're not going to China proper China. We're not going to China proper China. We're going to China with the pyramid. It's out in the province, girl. We'll be out with the people. We'll be out there with people with the big hats and stuff and the rice paddies and fields and stuff. We're not going to the psychopathic big pharma China, not China proper. This is like we're not going to Washington, D.C. China. We're going to Tupelo, Mississippi, China.
And the
That's where the
countryside
pyramid
of
is.
China is very beautiful. Countryside
Yeah,
of
no,
China.
China is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
all
I-
those paintings, I would love to go there once. All those paintings about the beautiful mountains and the beautiful, like the ancient tradition. China is very beautiful, and the wisdom also. But but
yeah, that's why
cities
they
are
crazy.
Yeah, but that's really, but that was so horror-like, the screaming of the people. Did you saw that little video, the screaming of the people in Shanghai?
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I thought it was fake. I thought somebody made it up. Like it sounds horrifying. Like listening to people, but there are multiple videos.
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Anyhow,
Lori, do not come on here with your booby hate. We are not going to allow no hate. This is a hate-free speed page. We love boobies. You're not going to come on here with booby hate.
All right, hold on before I forget. So
that was your whole Titicaca thing.
I know, and now I forget it, and I didn't take notes on it because I was listening to it while doing the dishes. So New Zealand has older gods than people realized, right? Or I guess are told about. So there's really old gods from New Zealand, or their belief system there, and they're linked to Easter Island, right?
Yes.
So,
yes. The Polynesians, yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So they talk about like sea peoples coming, like ancient Egypt and Etruscans and all that, right? Yep. So the sea peoples, didn't Greece do it too? I don't know, but sea peoples coming and stuff like that, right? Yep. And so every time the sea people left to go back to wherever they were going back to, right? Oh, and it's very similar. A lot of their stuff is very similar to like the Mayans and the Aztecs and stuff, right? But which I think it's even older. I think it's the Olmecs that are the oldest, and then Mayans and Aztecs are just descendants like Atlantis and Egypt. That's what I think. But anyway, and it's all from Atlantis. But so when they would leave, right, the people would give them two birds, like statues of two birds called Tiki Wakan. Tiki and Wakan. Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan, yeah.
Yes.
It's the name of the
it was coming. Thank you, Jonathan. It was coming.
Coincidence.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you
Right.
have there the big statues. How do you
Yeah.
call the big statues? Like
The
the
Moai.
Right.
And so
yeah.
Well,
what's interesting, you
the
know,
sea
and this,
peoples are a mystery.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so
Who
this
were
is the
they?
cool thing about having
Yeah.
like really weirdo friends to everybody in the audience. This is why I hang out with these people because they like study weird stuff like I do. So the sea people, right, which are a mystery and nobody knows where they came from for the most part. They speculate, but they used to just land on the coast and attack, and they came from the sea, and nobody knows where they came from throughout the Mediterranean, Egypt, and a few other places. And then
They
the
wiped
other
out the
thing,
Hittites. They wiped out the Mycenaeans and the Minoans. They attacked Egypt. The Egyptians beat them in 1177.
and so the other interestingly weird thing that just came out of Susan's mouth and Jonathan's mouth, well, see, this one was Susan's mouth, was the Moai, right? So the first original Moai, one of the very few first original Moais, I think there's only two that are known of, and one is in Britain, right? And that's made out of basalt. All the other Moai are made out of volcanic rock. So it was very easy to chip away and make these, and they weren't heads, right? Because they have bodies.
Yeah.
And they go 20 feet down in the ground, these entire bodies. So they're covered up with a lot more mud than what anyone knows, which means they were older than what anyone knew. But on top of that, they found the quarries for the coral or the volcanic rock Moai. They did not find the quarry for the basalt Moai, if I'm saying it right, the right type of stone.
Wow.
So the only one known is in a museum in England. And so it's a big thing in Britain. They're trying to bring that original Moai back. And they're saying that, you know, because the seas are constantly rising, right? We know all the civilizations and cities they're finding under thousands of feet of ocean. All these, you know, the human race is a lot older than what anybody thinks. They're saying that the basalt quarry most likely is underwater. That Easter Island was significantly bigger when it was populated by those who created the original Moai, you know, and so it just leads me into these fascinating places. And I'm glad that you guys study this stuff because you make me feel a lot less weird.
Yeah, but could there be giants that were living there? I mean, they're so big, those statues.
They are. Well, they got a wobble theory. You see the wobble theory, Christine? You know, they walked the statues. They put strings on the statues and they made them wobble and they walked them in. You know, which is why I kind of laugh at it because yes, and it makes sense. And you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, people who live there say, you know, their ancestors wobbled the statues into place. Sure, if you're talking about volcanic ash, it doesn't weigh anything, right? It's mostly hollow. It's porous rock. When you're talking about things like, you know, basalt and granite and diorite, things that the Egyptians and others. I mean, this is very heavy stone. You're getting a couple people together, and you just wobbling this big, massive statue into place. But, you know, we have a lot of ridiculous ideas. Like the Egyptians built the pyramids with rope and wood and rats. And
I have a book, an old book where we see drawings like people with ropes and then dragging all those heavy stones. Yeah.
And I agree with what Andrew said. That's interesting. That's a good theory right there. He says, I don't think humanity is old. I believe humans are a newer creation, which could be. You know, we don't know that humans built the pyramids. We know that something built the pyramids. And it could have been the reptilians. It could have been the ant people. It could have been any of these, you know, lists of groups of people that our ancestors saw all over this planet. You know, but, you know, I think we might be the latest rendition. I don't know, Andrew, if you looked into the Adam and Eve story. So the Adam and Eve story talks about every 8,000 to 13,000 years, we all get wiped out. The planet pole shifts and a new civilization rises. And it might just be we're just the newer civilization. And before us, we're the praying mantis people or something. I don't know.
No way. I think we're old. And I think, like, first of all, we have no conception of time. And things go slow in nature. And secondly, like the King's List, well, science, because when I went to school as a kid, we learned that modern humans were only 30 to 40,000 years old. That's what I was when I was a kid.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
And then it went to 100,000 years when the discovery of something else. Then it went to 170. Then it went to 200 plus. And the most recent data is 300,000. So it keeps getting older. But on top
Yeah,
of that,
but I
the
think
King's list goes back 432,000 years. So
yeah,
why
but
would humans be a part of that story if we didn't exist for at least 432,000?
yeah. But there were different resets during those times. I think
Oh
we have
yeah.
already, yeah. 8 time I thought
Speaking,
my guru says 8 time there was a reset. So
yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of
Well, we were
resets,
wiped out a couple times and started
yeah,
over. But
yeah,
not wiped out. There was always at least 2 left
yeah.
to start
yeah,
More
over.
than 2, yeah. Some places, yeah.
speaking of resets and being wiped out, I'm drinking prune juice. So if I have to disappear for a little bit, y'all just keep that conversation going. Okay? It's safe and effective
Thanks.
here. I'm
Thanks
just
for the
letting you
public
know.
service announcement, George.
With the PSA, just to let you know, prune juice is safe and effective, and it works. There's no
It
fake
is.
science. There's no censored science behind that.
Mm.
It works,
No,
that's for sure.
but that was what I was saying. The thing was exciting and stuff because like I've really been learning a lot of plants, like a lot of plants, right? And so it's plants, right? That's the only thing. I'm not a chemist. I'm not sure how it works on chemistry levels. But like so like if ashwagandha is good for blood circulation, and then elderberry is good for say immune, and what else? Like maca powder is good for energy, and those are the things you need help with. Then can't I make these things? Can't I make these medicines together? Like I feel like a mad chemist. I've been learning so much. I want to mix them together, but I also don't want to kill anybody.
Experiment. You do also an experiment. So
No, I always do it on myself. I'm always like, it's nature.
no.
No, but seriously, I do a lot of research because that's scary. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I wouldn't risk my life or something, but that's what I'm saying. So now I'm at this point where like I know all these things, and I'm like, oh, if you put this, and this together, that would be perfect for this. But how do they react?
I
How do I
think
find out how
Tammy,
they react on a chemical level?
I think Tammy Ray is onto something. I think what happens is we get weird. We get a little too weird. We go back to living how our ancestors did. We rediscover our power. We rediscover we're vibrations. We tap into that vibrational energy. We start becoming the gods and goddesses that Christ said that we were. Greater things I do, I've done, you will do. And then they wipe us out because we get weird. We stop being little slaves that are here to make money and serve the economic systems and build the world for the few. And when we get towards that end, we get wiped out. And this is going back to what Andrew was saying, right? In terms of the cycles. And Christine, this is something you and Jonathan, you know real well, is the whole Kali Yugas, the cycles, right? The cycle of the Yugas. I mean, it's not that the Adam and Eve story stands on its own. This is ancient knowledge, right? The ancients all talked about the different cycles. I mean, even the, not just ancient India, but the Hopi. Right. They talked about how when the world came into calamity, ant people came up to the surface, grabbed them and took them back under. The stories of Siddhartha, right? The underground cities, the hollow earth. And we know the largest ocean on our planet, it's actually in the planet, you know, and if you have the biggest ocean in the world is in the planet, and we know most planets out there are ocean planets, then we know that there are massive caverns inside of this earth, which makes a lot of that make sense. And you get into stories of Admiral Byrd and everything else. And so, you know, I think that's about right. I think we become weird. We rediscover who we are. We less and less stop being a species with amnesia and start being a species going back to the powerful creatures we once were. And they're just like, no, that's too much power for them. Let's wipe them out and let's start all over. And they, you know, maintain the power. They become the politicians and the leaders, the reptilians that y'all vote for. And did you know they eat babies, Susan? They eat babies.
Oh, I know. I know.
Let you know. I didn't know if you knew that or not. I swear, y'all, we were driving back. We were literally driving back. And I swear every 15 minutes, Susan had to tell me how much they eat babies.
I didn't know that.
Right. And Gerard, you know they eat babies, right? Like, yeah, Susan, I know you said that the last couple of miles they eat babies. I got you.
No, it's well, because you know what's crazy? Like, even if we don't know that's true, a lot of us believe it's true, and we still let it happen. That's my whole point. It's like, oh, we consent.
We go along. We consent.
Crazy.
We go along. Everything that happens to children on this planet, we consent to. right?
Yeah.
It's our fault. We 100% can. We vote. We pay taxes. We argue with the whites and the blacks and the Democrats and the Republicans, and we're all 100% a part of this system that destroys the least on the earth, which are the children.
Oh, and I wanted to say too, Native Americans, South America, like Mayans, Aztecs, Egyptians, and Celts also talked about red-haired giants that taught them things. Yeah.
Okay. See,
like
and
people,
that's corroborating reports. Like, there's conspiracy theory, and then there's being stupid, right?
Yeah.
When you do detective work historically, in my opinion, you want to look.
There are even pictures about giants. Pictures, real pictures.
Yeah. Well, you want to look at corroborating reports from different tribes of people who are completely uncontacted on completely different continents. And if they came up with the same exact stories, those aren't stories. We're being lied to about history. I mean, you look at like the work of people like Mary Leakey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mary Leakey, but she was the one who found the evidence of human existence going back millions of years. If it wasn't a million, it was like over 100,000. It was something ridiculous. And it was so freaking ridiculous where they found this civilization in a sediment. I think it was in Mexico, that the modern archaeology, they all just turned against her. And they said, nope, they just revoked her funding. They threw her out the industry because she actually found a civilization that was over 100,000 years old. And they had that thing called Clovis first, where the Clovis people were the first people to North America, that there weren't people. And I'm kind of going along with Susan theory, which is how this is all wrapping back around. It actually makes sense that the Olmecs were first in Central America, or South America, because they have dark skin, right? If we all came from Africans or Indians, and we're all African, we're all Indian, we just changed our hair and eye colors and noses and things like that, then it would mean if the first civilizations of people who all survived the ice ages, they would most likely would be in tropical environments where the planet doesn't freeze solid. Those people would have browner skin than lighter skin, and they would spread out. And after also the oldest civilizations on the planet would be in those tropical zones. And after we go through the pole shift and everybody dies and gets wiped out, the people, the best chance for life is going to be in those zones that remain warm. So I don't know. It makes sense. It makes sense that the Olmecs might have been, among the first early humans, with the others over in Africa with the Anunnaki, and we all just walk around, which is why, we can't have selective history. We have to be honest. And based in the best that I know is we all come from the same tribes of people, who just keep respreading out from the central warm areas, and our skins change. Our hair change, our eye color changes to the environment. Cheddar Man.
Yes.
Cheddar Man was one of the earliest Britons they found in a cave, and he's supposed to be 30,000, 40,000 years old. And, people ask, is he white? Was he black? He was neither. He had brown skin, blue eyes, and long, wavy black hair, and those are our ancient ancestors. All we did was walk all over this damn planet. And somehow today we let the billionaires, the leaders, the people who control everything, separate us based in the nuances solar radiation gave us.
Solar radiation gave us?
Well, bacteria, solar radiation.
You know what's funny? Think about this, right? You know what's funny? You know what's great, right? So our whole entire solar system wouldn't exist without the sun, right? Like plants can't exist without the sun. Like we can't exist without the sun. And somehow they convinced us like 20, 30 years ago that the sun was really bad.
What? The sun was really?
Yeah, the sun was really bad, and it was really bad for us. And that we should put all this like chemically lotion, oily.
Don't go out in the sun.
Bodies. And like, think about that.
Don't look up.
It's sun. It's literal. You cannot have life without the sun, and they taught us to be afraid of it, and like we are. Like, like if you're hanging out with people who have kids, the first thing they'll be like is, "Do you get lotion on so you don't get burnt?"
I
And then my uncle's like, yeah, but you do get burnt out. It's so hot now. And yeah, it is like a weird hot now. Like you feel like you're frying in it.
Yeah.
That's because we're covered in fucking aluminum and it's reflected all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's why probably we get burned.
And we're heating up.
burn
We're like
with-
being microwaved. Like,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. I really don't understand this. Like, because most of us understand. Like, I mean, even total followers know like there's pollution and corporations pollute things and stuff, right? And we literally know all this stuff and we do nothing. We don't do anything. I don't understand that. Like, I don't. Like, what level of abuse do you need to see before you're like, this is enough? You know what
I don't like what Andrew just said. Did y'all read that? Oh my God, I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
I don't,
it's-
I don't like that.
We've been chemically anesthetized. We've been
You know
chemically
what?
anesthetized.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
not
the
be
reason.
surprised.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that we're looking at the moon, but the moon is actually a reflection of the crater that we're in. We're actually on the moon in a big, massive crater. Like,
slaves.
the problem with stuff like that is it starts to answer certain questions like, why can you only see one side of the moon? And they say the moons are it's a complete artificial orbit. It makes absolutely no sense. It's at the right precise distance that gives us solar eclipses that makes it seem like, yes, it's probably reflection on the firmament or surface. And see, Andrew wants to pull me into flat earth and I'm doing my best to fight it and stay away from it. But the reality is we just don't know.
No, we don't know.
Yeah.
I've
NASA
seen
You're
it.
Actually,
becoming flat
I-
earther? Don't do
No,
it.
no, I want
Yeah,
to.
but astrology
Listen,
is more
look.
old. I believe more in astrology because
Marsha
going
Brady,
to astrology it cannot work.
I feel like we're on the Brady bus. Marsha, look, I would become a flat earther if I could. I can't. My biggest problem with the flat earth thing is my father was a satellite engineer. And I met a lot of his friends from the Pentagon. And, you know, is there a firmament up there that the satellites bounce off of? That does not happen. You know, you can lie to people and you can get thousands of people to lie to people. But can you get 1 million people or more to lie to everybody with all the space programs all over the world? It's not going to work. It's like the whole alien thing, right? They've been lying about that for a long time.
But you have so many pictures of but the thing is, there is so many pictures about all the planets they are there. I mean, they're round or they're oval or they're whatever. They're not like flat, nothing. And I mean, it's all, life is a circle. I mean, circle of life. Everything is round, natural. So, yeah, it's too weird. And besides, there are pictures. I mean, if you open your eyes, you can see.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem for me. And so Andrew, he's not a flat earther. He's just kind of explaining that. But but the point is NASA lies, and they lie too damn much, and they lie about way far too much. And they're not a trustworthy organization. They don't have the ethics and the morals to actually be the one conveying information about space to the human race. And a good example of that is the James Webb Telescope. So you guys know they put the James Webb Telescope up there a few months ago. And in a few more months, you know, the James Webb Telescope is what's going to replace the Hubble, right? This is what they suspect, that you'll actually be able to see alien cities on other planets, that the vision might be that well, but you can certainly see any sort of massive ships or anything that is actually in orbit around, you know, these stars and planets. So the most interesting thing that I saw last week was that, so they are taking pictures, and the first pictures that the James Webb Telescope takes, that you built, that you paid for, that was on your tax dollar, that you've slaved away for, they said are going to be classified, and you will not be allowed to see them. So whatever they're taking pictures of first, they've decided, and this is how you know that it's not the North American Space Agency, right? This is a psychopathically criminal organization that hides information, that is disingenuous, because the first few pictures are going to be classified. Why? Because they're still scared of this idea of the human beings finding out that they're not the only narcissists in the galaxy. You know, we are narcissistic, and there's a lot out there. You know, but this is where, you know, you get flat earthers from, which is why I have no issue with flat earthers. They're just a good reminder that you can't trust your government.
Yes.
They're liars. That's what they do. That's what they do best. They've been lying to us for thousands of years. even before it was the United States government.
I just don't like flat earthers because the majority of them, from my experience so far, if you ask a question, they just fucking laugh at you and be like, "Oh, you thought it was a globe, huh?" And that's it. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to ask a question and fucking learn.
Yeah,
I know that guy.
Asshole, which
I
makes
know
me
him.
want to hate flat Earth even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
know that
they're
guy.
very defensive. They're very You ask
Yeah.
questions, you want to go deeper,
just
but they're
asking questions.
extremely defensive. So that's like media. I say, okay, yeah, then you do this the same as media because they don't answer; they just attack. So
Yeah.
I have
Wait.
also that.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's an experience if you want to discuss it. Say, but how do you believe? And you say, but no, yeah, it's like very defensive. There's no logic in it. I don't find any kind of logic in it. And there might be, yeah, I don't know. There might be some truth in it, but maybe different truths that they link to flat Earth. I don't know why, but also, yeah, it's very, yeah, it's too weird for me. And also, I say, but there is so much. I mean, there are pictures. I mean, yeah, they're all lies. Those pictures. I don't believe that either. I mean, maybe they are not all done like they are really are. I don't know, but there is so much. And how can you go around the orbit like the ones? Because when it goes night and day, it's that only can be the consequence when it turns around. The sun is always there, and so night and day cannot be explained with a flat Earth or something because it's about the spinning. The Earth goes like this, and then it turns around the sun. I mean, yeah, I cannot explain it all, but with a flat Earth, how does it work? How do the planets work? They're not they're not statues. They're living things. They live, they turn, they spin, they do all kind of stuff. Can you see us like a toll? I mean, like, so, you know, the games when we used to do
Yeah.
when we were a child, and you poop. But it's, yeah, I cannot see the logic in flat Earths. So
I love the flat earthers for their mirroring effect of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I love the fact that we look at them like they're so ridiculous, but
yeah,
pretty much every group they have their flat science. They have their flat history. They have their flat race ideologies. They have their flat national ideology. The earth is flat. I completely agree from the perspective that everyone's got their own prejudices and they all have information that they refuse to look at because it doesn't fulfill the narrative they want.
yes.
And you can look at the last 2 years. You know, the earth was pharmaceutically flat, right? It's not cardiovascular disease, it's something else. And the only way to survive it is with our censored science and our drugs, right?
Yes.
You know, critical race theory, same thing. Everything in the world is flat. History started when we say it began. The only enslavement was African enslavement, right? Christ and God of the Bible is the one true Bible of the God is just the best, the best, the best, the best. Even though the fact that they're hiding thousands of scriptures in the basement in the Vatican that they won't let you read. And it's just, everyone's got their own flatness. Everyone's got their own little hypocrisy.
You're right.
Yeah.
I ordered the book, and it's from kind of one who sees everything. How do you call them in the English? She sees way back in the past and in the future. She has a deep knowledge, and her book is "We Don't Know Nothing" is the title. We don't know nothing. I ordered it, so maybe we can read about it. It's very thin.
We don't know nothing, but we act like we know every damn thing because we want to control other people and make them do what we want them to do. No different than the flat earthers do, you know. So I look at people who believe in flat earth, and they're just like everybody else. They're just Democrats, they're Republicans, they're Christians, they're whites, they're blacks, they're Americans. You know, all these groups are cults. And as long as you're in a cult, there's a certain level of information you have to believe in other information that you can't look at to make you beholden to that cult. And how they come up with these sayings, blue no matter who.
Yeah.
Talk about sayings, right? So this caught my attention, right? So apparently, especially because they control everything now through our minds, through communication. So apparently for teenage kids, like a slang term is "this is life" or "that's life," right? Like if you like, you know how we would be like, "That's cool." They say "that's life," right?
Okay.
So, but you know how many times he was on his phone or the internet and everything, like, you know, wow, he's got 5,000 followers. That's life. Like, and I was like, oh my God, they are literally programming them to be like, that's life. That's life. Like right here, this little fucking screen.
Like,
Yeah.
this is
Life.
cool. The
Because
Matrix.
if you, right, but I mean, not even this is cool. That's life.
Yeah.
Like they are
Yeah, but no.
associating life with the screen.
That's
Yeah,
virtual
you know, but
reality,
that's a
right?
weird guy.
Right.
That really creepy guy he was on Del Victory, that he says we are the useless eaters. So what else? That's that very, how is his name? He has a very funny name. He's a professor in Jerusalem. Then he teaches sociology, and he says, well, we are nothing more than a robot. So soon we have the magic to control everything with a chip, and there is no God and there is nothing else. There is like really creepy.
I know what you're
And
talking
then,
about.
yeah. And then he says, oh yeah, but then the one is questioning, yeah, and then the people, if we don't know people anymore, oh, you know, they're useless eaters. How do we entertain them? Yeah, but actually literally give them video games and give them fantasy. So like give them the Matrix. That's all. That's really creepy guy.
Well, it's Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally wrong. He's yes, no, and he doesn't believe. Yeah, no, we are gods. He says there is no God. We are gods. He says, really, like, okay, did you? Did you create yourself? As people say to me, I don't believe in God, but who did create you? Science? And they say sometimes science. Yes, science. How did that happen? Was there science million years ago? Yeah. No, everything starts out of nothing. What is this nothing then? There must be kind of energy. If everything is energy, what is this energy? Yeah, anyhow. But
that alone, it leaves them totally out of balance because they're saying there is no God while simultaneously saying that they are gods, which so right, you know what I mean? So that's canceling each other out. You know what I mean? Like you can't exist in that space.
no. Yeah, because they say they want to be God, but there is no God. So at the same time, they deny and they recognize. Yeah.
Well,
It's like saying there is no truth, which is a statement of truth, a claim to know something.
Yep.
Right.
It's self-contradictory. It's a circular argument.
Well, we're going back to the way things were, right? The kings were gods in the very beginning, and now the kings are gods again. And what they're telling you is that, you know, we're the gods. We're going to do this. You're going to accept it. And there's nothing you can really do about it. You know, you're going to take our drugs. You're going to do what we tell you. You're going to take our digital currency, credit, whatever. And if you don't do what we God say, you die. It's feudalism.
You will earn nothing and you will be happy. That is a pronouncement of someone with a God complex.
Yeah.
Well, it's permanent slavery. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I cut you off.
Okay. That's all right. Go ahead. That's
I
all
didn't hear you. I want to hear you. My mouth is too big.
Someone, you know, Schwab and these black magicians are giving themselves godlike powers. They are in their pronouncements. You know, the New World Order. You know, if you listen to them, the New World Order cannot be stopped. Resistance is futile. Just accept it. When of course it is anything but inevitable. And that is of course the black magic that they're attempting to enspell us with.
I want to hit y'all with something.
Have us think that it really is inevitable and resistance is futile, when in fact resistance is anything but futile.
Well, I was just going to say too, but their power is illusory. It's not real.
Yeah,
because
it's based on you giving them your power.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. They create an illusion for you to surrender your power to them, but they don't actually have any power.
No, they don't.
Your energy, you give them your rights, you give them your consent, and you go along. You know, let me hit you guys with something. I forgot where I heard this, but it is powerful. I think it was on a live stream on TikTok. I spend a lot of time over there nowadays. But the guy basically said, New World Order is unavoidable. And I got pissed. Like I was upset, and I was like, "Man, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, but I stopped. This is what I did, and I looked at global history. Mm-hmm. We went from family tribes or family groups to tribes. We went from tribes to larger tribes. We went from that to regional. We went from that to nations, and now where we are is we're basically denying the direction of human history. Since we were created, we've been marching and racing towards a global government. Mm-hmm. And his point historically is valid in that this is the direction. Something is driving the human race to this global governing model.
There's a problem.
And so, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I think is that I kind of am in camp, global government's unavoidable. You know, I think the only thing that we can do is we can make sure that we can modify what rules. We can't change it from the direction, I think, of human civilization. But we can get in the way of it in terms of, do corporations rule a global government with millions of laws and social control and oppression and violence? Or is it going to be ruled by people who understand that people are the sovereigns? The government is not the sovereign, that you have rights that no global government, state government, national could ever even infringe or take from you. You know, so I kind of think that what he said was interesting and pretty valid, but we have to derail the system in terms of, instead of corporations ruling the global government, because corporations rule the global nations now, or the nations now, and turn it into something that is more of a facilitating resources and working for humanity than working for the billionaires and the few. And that's how they tricked this last generation, is they convinced them that a global government is progress. It's how we move forward. It's because the corporations are woke.
Yeah, but I think too, because like we've been, like I said, 432,000 years, we've been, wiped out a few times, right? A couple worlds, they call it. So anyway, so if you think about it though, even Atlantis, right? So that's the only story we really have to go on from ancient times. They were most likely we were a global network. But our society wasn't like government control. Like we didn't value money and material things. We valued intelligence and knowledge and compassion. And so I think collectively we do just naturally evolve into more of a global community. Because like even now, like if you went all around the world and polled every person on the planet, it wouldn't matter where you're from. I bet 80% of us would at least agree that we don't like war. We just want to feed our kids. We don't really want a lot. We just want, to be okay and happy. You know what I mean? 80% of us would probably agree. You know what I mean? On the basic things. So I think we head that way. And that's one of the reasons why they do all these control methods and fear tactics, because like I said, they vibrate on this low energy, and we have to keep this fear energy state for them to exist here. But if we were this global collective of love and compassion and helping each other and seeking knowledge, they can't exist here. So they can't let us reach it that way. It has to be a new world order of oppression for them to stay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there are two kinds of seeing global.
Right.
I think you can see it in love, unity, and understanding all different kinds of cultures, and sovereignty, respecting it, and being joyful and sharing and all this kind of stuff, but still having your own way of life, not being controlled. Right. And the other one is like the New World Order.
Yeah, like the Hopis, the Navajo, and the Passamaquoddy. That's all I know of. I mean, there might be more, but they all talk about the rainbow people, right? Like the fourth world, after the third world dies, it would be the rainbow people. And I think that refers to like, we don't look at each other as color and Chinese or American or whatever.
Yeah, true.
Look at each other as light, because if we give off electromagnetic fields and stuff, that's like the color of the rainbow. We're, you know what I mean?
The enlightened one, the
Right.
truly enlightened one.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, even people that don't know shit, but they just come from a good place of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. And Jonathan, what did you want to say when we interrupted?
Oh, I was going to mention history and that view that these social engineers and techno fascists have. It's based on the view that history is 6,000 years old, and we know what it was, and it was about kings and princes and hierarchies and progress, and the cult of progress, and everything is evolving, civilization is evolving, and we are the epitome of evolution.
Yeah.
That is
Mhm.
that mindset, that way of thinking is based on amnesia.
Yeah.
Is based
Oh, yeah.
on the fact that history began 6,000 years ago, and emphatically, empirically, that is false, and that old paradigm is crap, and it needs to be discarded, because we have overwhelming evidence now that is crap. The archaeological, geologic evidence that we know now proves it, and so we need a new historical paradigm.
Right.
Based
But
on
what do I
something
mean?
different than hierarchies and progress. Yeah.
Wokeness.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, okay, so even for me personally, right? So I have a past, right? So I learned things, and then I'm like, I'm a piece of God, and like, you know, humans really did have powers to just kind of like, you know, clear out the trash and get them. And but then I have a past, and I'm like, oh man, I'm really just shit, because that's how my past taught me to think. Okay.
That's conditionings, yeah.
Right.
bad.
Right. That's the conditioning, right? So like, but and so like, as a collective, we're taught like, civilization started 6,000 years ago. We were monkeys, we chiseled shit, and the pyramids do nothing, and we built all that for some rich guy because he was so important. You know what I mean? Like, that's so like, when you're as a collective, and that's what we're taught in our head. You know what I mean? We killed your God. Jesus is supposed to be our God, and we killed him. Like, they teach us some really sick shit as a collective. So as a collective, even if you start learning things and learning to like, oh man, we should be living like this, you still have all that old baggage. It's hard to transcend to say at a more human natural state when you have all that conditioning, because a lot of it's even that subconscious conditioning that we're not even aware of. Like, I'm sure you don't sit around thinking like, oh, they killed Jesus, and so my life is terrible. You know what I mean? You know, but I'm just saying, like, but on a psychological DNA level, that shit's been programmed into us for thousands of years.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has. It. You know, Mark Passio says we are all collectively suffering from PTSD as a planet. I have a hard time arguing with that at all.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it explains everything that we're dealing with in our environment, all the hate, all of the child abuse, all of the, you know, domestic violence, all of the war and the cheering it. Like, you know, we're all on this warrior, you know, warrior genes. And Dr. Stalin and the psychopath inside, when a
psychopath like Wolf Blitzer can go on national television and say that we need to go to war to support the economy so that we can keep having jobs.
Yeah, he said that.
Crazy.
We have to murder people so we can make money.
Yeah, he said that. He said
that. Really, I know. Yeah,
I know.
I hear that.
Yeah, Wolf, we heard you. We know what you are. You're a psychopath and you're a monster.
Yeah, but there's only like 100 of us scattered across the country. No, I'm kidding. There's more than 100.
There's quite a few.
Well, this is a video game, and the vast majority of the people here are non-player characters. We are literally in a Truman Show, and I think it's possible there might actually be 1,000 of us on Earth, and everything else is just the circumstances and the programming around us that that drive us and test us to see if we will be true to our values. We're probably all in a big video game, and we're playing a big video game called Values. And we all wipe our memories to get in it. And we're all being controlled by stimuli and environments to prove that we are good people, or to prove we're loving people, to prove some bets that we made around a campfire that, this is who I am. All right, let's prove it. Let's play Value, you guys. And we got up the next morning. We went to the arcade. We put our money in. We played Value. Our brains got wiped, and we got put in this place where we really have to prove that we are the souls we said we are, instead of going along with the masses.
Yeah, I do think it's some weird learning program, but not program like computer, like just, God.
We're in God's brain.
Better.
Yeah, we could be in God. Whatever God is, we're in God's brain. That way we're all a part of God and a piece of God.
We are Vishnu dreaming of the universe. That's what we are.
Wow.
What did you say? We are?
We are Vishnu dreaming the universe. That's us.
Oh yeah, we create the universe.
We create the universe. We're asleep and we're dreaming of, basically, according to the Hindus, is that we are all pretending to be separate, alone, and afraid. And we have all pretended to have forgotten that we are not two. We're not separate from each other or from the universe itself. Yeah, it's a game. It's a game.
Speaking of being separate, I've got to reunite some food in my stomach because separation is an illusion.
Yeah, it's just
there has to be food in there at some point because I'm not that strong in my vision quest that I cannot eat food. So anyone want to take an attempt to wrap up our discussion or some final thoughts?
Okay.
no.
No, always so scared. Just jump in. Just jump right in. Get your feet wet. Get your feet wet. Come on, Christine. You can wrap this up.
I don't know.
Why? It's like 1 a.m. for Christine. She's passing out. She's barely
No, I think we should. Yeah, it's like you say. We should. At least we should have at higher frequencies. We can enjoy whatever with people around you. That's a personal choice we can make. Enjoy what is your environment. Try to give that a personal choice, because how you react on your environment makes your day. I try to do that even if I dislike what they're doing or saying. Now I try to enjoy it and see. And then you get also powerful because you're not like you said, Sadhguru. Why do you let dictate your mood by other people?
Yeah.
You put it down.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do, or other theories of crazy psychopaths or whatever.
We have tremendous power, and that is the power to control our own thoughts, our own impressions, to govern ourselves. They can't take that from us unless we give it to them.
No,
we can't. They can't. And they know that. They require us to give them our consent, our sovereignty, our power.
Yeah.
And if we refuse, they're fucked because they can't do anything about it.
Exactly. And that's the real power. That's the real power.
That's the real power.
Yeah. In the Bible, it says no man has authority over you unless unless you allow them to have authority over you, no one has authority.
Right.
Yeah. And ask and you shall be given.
Yes.
And that's actually also true, but we don't believe it.
Right. Well, seek and you will find. And those that find will be disturbed. Those that are disturbed will marvel and will rule over the all. That's Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas. That's the second saying.
Wow.
So seek and you will find and you will be troubled or disturbed, depending on the translation. Those that are troubled will marvel, wonder, awe, and they will rule the all.
That's
They will
discovering the
become-
divine knowledge.
They will become the divine. They will become
There's
the
one more. It goes, be silent so Gerard can eat.
Eat.
divine. Didn't
Yeah,
even
I'm
want us to
actually
start
like
this
that.
yet.
I've been up since 4 and I haven't eaten yet.
All right, you guys, listen.
All right.
Love you guys to death. Appreciate it so
Okay.
much. Everyone in the crowd, thank you guys for joining. You guys have a great day. Take care.